is Wednesday, June 1st of 2022. And yeah, I guess I was away for a bit, but I'm back. I'm Guy's Daily Drive. Bam! And welcome everyone to Guy's Daily Drive. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. It's beautiful here. It's 75 degrees. Hardly any clouds in the sky. Just gorgeous. Kevin has joined us. Good friend from the old Florida days. I hope you're doing well, sir. The couple things to talk about. Number one, I'm sorry I was away for as long as I was. I actually did record a Guy's Daily Drive on Friday, but there was no sound, so it's kind of unusable. Just a video of me driving my car while looking into the camera and moving my mouth is not exactly going to make for the most captivating content, so I didn't do anything with it. It'll just be there until Facebook decides 30 days from now or so that it's time for it to go away, and you know, that's okay. That works. So what has been going on since the last time we spoke? I probably mentioned meeting up with Guy and his girlfriend Ashley in Fredericksburg. We had a wonderful time. Hit a couple of antique stores, which I always like to do, and had a nice meal at a place called Soup and Taco, because that's a thing in Fredericksburg. It's so popular they actually have two of them, Soup and Taco 1 and Soup and Taco 2. We were at Soup and Taco 2, which is right around the corner from where he used to live when he was going to Mary Washington College. And then we hit a couple, like I said, hit a couple of the antique stores. I bought some stuff. Just one thing for me, a couple things for Tracey. She wasn't there because she was still in Idaho. Speaking of which, she got back from Idaho on Saturday. And picked her up at the airport. And National Airport, oh my God, it is so weird these days. They're adding another terminal, and this is to an airport that about every 10 to 15 years, they talk about closing down. So why they're building another terminal, I don't know. You know, the airport itself is somewhat limited. There's only certain kinds of planes that can land and take off from there because the runways are, for a capital city, the runways are relatively short. Most of the large planes fly out of Dulles, which is to the northwest of here, or BWI, which is Baltimore, Washington. And they handle the most of the international and bigger planes, bigger domestic planes that fly in and out of the area. But because of this, because of all the construction that they've got going on, the little area that they have for people to wait in their cars excuse me, until they get a message or a cell phone call from whoever it is they're there to pick up, that little waiting area is gone because they're using it for construction workers and to pre-stage some stuff. So they're not allowing anyone to park there. So what they've done instead is they use Terminal B. You go into not Terminal B, they go into parking deck, the parking deck for Terminal B. And you have 1 free hour of parking. Well, I first went into the Terminal A parking deck, screwed that up because they don't have any free parking. And it's like $12 for the first hour that you're there. Fortunately, I immediately turned around and left, and so they didn't charge me since I was only in there about 3 minutes. Went to the right place, but with the way that you got to kind of scoot around, I wasn't sure exactly where I was in the parking deck as compared to where you cross over to enter the terminal. So I was parked in like a terrible, terrible area and had to do quite a bit of walking, and then still managed to screw that up too. I went all the way down, crossed over into Terminal B, but then as it turned out, once Tracey landed and where she came out of the security area was on the opposite part of Terminal B. So I ended up walking all the way across the parking deck for Terminal B, going to Terminal B, and then having to walk all the way across Terminal B to meet up with Tracey. And as it turned out, right where we met up and we left the terminal was like super close to where my car was. I didn't realize that there was a crossover and an elevator there. So I did quite a bit of walking for absolutely no reason at all. There was no reason for me to do all that. But regardless, I picked her up and got her home. And the guinea pigs and the cats were just thrilled that she made it and that she was home. As a matter of fact, when I got up this morning, Kismet, one of our cats, was literally draped over Tracey's arm while she was sleeping. It was like had to have that physical contact. Oh, that cat. So that's all that's going on with that. We may be meeting up with Guy and Ashley again this weekend, again down in Fredericksburg. Just, I guess they're going to research other stuff to do besides antiquing, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Now, on the not so great side of things, I talked at length about my problems that I had with Kia and how they kind of ticked me off with the runaround and how they didn't lie. Let me say that. It wasn't a lie, but it was certainly an omission in their advertising to say that they warranty their vehicles for 100,000 miles, or they warranty their engines for 100,000 miles, but only if you buy them new. So if you didn't buy them new, you're kind of screwed. But that's not clear, and it took me several trips to the dealership for them to finally admit that. I don't know why it was so hard, but apparently it was. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. There was some gear that came out, some audio gear recently from Rode, and it's the Rode Podcaster 2. And it's a mixer, it does sound effects. I mean, it does lots of really kind of cool things. And when the first one came out, I was so tempted to buy it, but I didn't, because I already had a lot of other gear. And I still have all that gear. But when the second one came out, I decided I was going to bite the bullet and I'm going to get one. Now, it doesn't come out until later this month. So obviously I'm going to have to wait, and we'll see what supplies are like. But in order to help pay for it, I've decided I'm going to get rid of some of the audio gear that I don't really use, and some of it's quite nice. There's a DBX 286S, which is a preamp compressor limiter, all in one kind of unit. It has a great reputation. I have 2 of those. I don't know why I bought a second one, but I did. And I only really use the one. So I'm going to get rid of the second one. And the other 2 things was 2 pieces of rack gear from Behringer that do the same thing, but it does it with 2 separate units. And what makes the Behringer kind of cool is it's dual channel. So there's 2 XLR inputs and 2 XLR outputs, whereas the DBX286 is just a single. And it actually doesn't have an XLR output, it just has a 6.2 millimeter 1/4 inch jack output. So I'm getting rid of the DBX286S, I'm getting rid of the Behringer preamp and the Behringer compressor limiter, and I'm getting rid of, I have a Yamaha MG10 mixer, which is a 4, it's got, in theory, 10 inputs, but most people just use the 4 XLR inputs. What it doesn't have is USB. It doesn't have USB out to go to a computer, so it's just it's an analog mixer, but it's a good one. So I'm getting rid of those 4 pieces of gear. So I don't want to go through a lot of hassle with it, so I figured, okay, Guitar Center buys gear, and if I sell it to them, they also give like a 10% extra if you turn around and use that to buy something else from them. So I said, okay, well that sounds good. So I go to their website, and the way it works is you have to make an appointment to bring the gear in, which is fine. You tell them what it is you're selling, and they tell you the closest store to go to. Pretty cut and dry. So I put in the DBX rack gear, I put in the Behringer rack gear, and I put in the Yamaha mixer. They accept it. They give me an appointment from between 12 and 4 o'clock on Monday, which was Memorial Day. And thank you to all of the veterans who have served this country. I appreciate your service. And so I go into the store, and they tell me they don't take rack gear. And I was like, wait a second. I specifically told your website what it was I was bringing in. So why is this such a problem? And they apologized, which didn't really do me much good, because they had completely, not them in particular, but the company, Guitar Center, had completely wasted my time. And then to add insult to injury, they offered me basically $30 for the mixer. This is a mixer I had bought from them for $200, in which they sell used on their website for $130. So between being pissed off that they wouldn't take the rack gear that their website said they would, and then being lowballed on the mixer, it's like, you know what? No, screw this. And I left. And I won't be doing business with Guitar Center for the foreseeable future. I don't see any reason to. There's other options. I can buy gear online. There are other stores in the area that sell the same equipment that I'm interested in purchasing. So I will frequent them instead. Music and Arts. I bought my my speaker monitors from them, as well as some other gear. And that's who I'm gonna go to locally for now. Guitar Center, you have lost my business. And it's, it's sad when the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, which is basically what happened. If you're not going to take rack gear, or if none of your stores in the area are going to take rack gear, well then whoever it is that maintains that form should know that, and it should not accept it. And I'm not talking about specifics. I'm not saying, okay, well, just this piece and just that piece. I'm talking about broad categories of gear, rack gear, stuff that goes into a rack. If you don't take it, that's fine. Don't accept it. It's just one more thing. One more thing. So, something I started doing with the My Mac podcast this week is taking some little snippets and putting that out. Is this still? Yeah, still got a green light, and still and putting those out as like little audio video snippets. It's not that hard. It's just a little bit time consuming, but I think I have a pretty good method for doing it. What I need to do, I don't like the little intro that I very quickly created. I don't think it's all that great. So I got to work on that. And the outro is not that big a deal. It's just the My Mac podcast logo. So that's something that'll be in the feed. And eventually I will probably put some of this stuff over on Patreon and some of the other places to get people, if they want, to help support the channel. Though you don't have to. You know, pretty much all the same stuff that you're going to see or that you're going to hear is going to be available on long form. So it's not going to be like it's exclusive if you're a Patreon supporter or Coffee supporter or PayPal supporter or any of that. It'll just, they'll just be, clear and easy to find links to all of this stuff. I'm still working on it. Speaking of which, if you want to support the channel, and you don't have to, you can go to patreon.com/MacParrot. You can go to ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or you can pay a pal at paypal.me/MacParrot. You can send me email, guy@mymac.com, or podcast@vertshark.com. vertshark.com is the place to go for all of the odds and all of the vids. They will all be there in one form or another. What else? Twitter, MacParrot and VertShark. And of course, the mighty MyMac.com podcast that I do nearly every week with Guy's Daily Drive, and whatever other stuff I get into. Mac Voices, that's Chuck Joyner's show on Tuesday nights. I do that, though I didn't last night. And Dave Ginsburg's In Touch with iOS, which is on Thursday nights. I sometimes do that show too. All of these things are ways that you can keep up with the craziness that is my life. It is a crazy, crazy time. So thank you. Thank you also very, very much for joining me today on Guy's Daily Drive. I really, really do appreciate it. And as I pull in here, I will see all of you next time right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye-bye.